Hi, I'm Noodle. I make the funny YouTube video. Sam is a game developer. He makes the funny video game. For at least half a year now, Sam has been helping me write most of my videos. Originally for this episode, we were going to talk about the new SpongeBob video that I put out recently. That lasted for about 5 minutes until we just completely went off script. Enjoy.
Spudge. We made a spudge, mostly you.
Yeah, you helped less on this one, which is interesting. Probably because it isn't about video games in any capacity.
Yeah. Anyway, guys,
good talk. No, I still did go to you on occasion. There were a few things that I definitely needed help with in terms of just trying to figure out the best way to broach, and not just the narrative, but there were a couple areas that felt a little touchy, and I wanted to make sure that I was, coming off the way I wanted to,
Yeah.
I mean, specifically, as to just jump straight into it, there's the part specifically that gave me the most trouble in terms of how I wanted to present things was the bit wherever Steven Hillenburg stopped being involved, right? Because as the story goes, he is a marine biologist, and then he goes to college. He's part of an experimental group at CalArts, and he gets immediately picked up to work on Rocko's Modern Life. And then after that, he has a really successful pitch with Nickelodeon. He makes SpongeBob for 3 seasons, works on the movie, and then interviews would suggest that he really did plan on stopping after that, but Nickelodeon did not allow him to shut it down. Like they simply wanted it to go on too much, and they won that fight. And incidentally, because a lot of the team had changed in between the production of the movie and season 4, the show felt very different because not a lot of the same people were working on it in a lot of places. And I happen to like the show a fuckload less from season 4 onward. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really hard to abstain from going in on that and trying to figure out how much of that is relevant to the narrative as a whole, right?
Yeah, initially you wanted to use that as an opportunity to express your disdain.
Yeah, but I do remember that.
Yeah, and one of the reason that I pushed back on that initially was because I felt like it didn't serve the direction of the story.
Yeah.
For the reasons that ended up being stated in the video.
That's something that I notice a lot, is that whenever a video goes in a particular direction, usually negative, and one or both of us don't quite feel right about it, the reasons that we give for why we don't feel right about it end up being the new script 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. It's very cool to be able to just say why you're doing what you're doing.
So what you're saying is you don't like subtext.
I hate all forms of text, but that's
do not
the
speak
point today. Do not speak. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it seemed like that was mostly the stuff that I was coming to help with. It wasn't about research or information. It was just like I'm fixated on like narrative structure and the way you paste information and what you do and don't include, and having a second pair of eyes on that.
Yeah,
just generally helps when you're doing something that is focused on just telling a story.
Yeah, no, it helps to have someone a little more detached, right? Because I'm so close to this show generally that it's hard not to let feelings get in the way of telling a narrative, especially when the framing device is largely chronological and it ends on a sour note, depending on what angle you look at it from. But it was definitely a good call to ease way the fuck up on that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know if I ever told you this. I had the opposite concern towards the end of the video, where I was worried that even in its current form, it was still too harsh. And the thing that got me thinking that was just a day before the video went live. It was the 25th anniversary of the show. And a lot of people who were currently working on the show were posting online about, how happy they were to have had the chance to do that. And, all the ways that the show is special to them and that they themselves grew up watching it. And it's a dream to be able to work on the show that, shaped them.
Yeah.
And like, fuck. How do you tell those people that what they're working on, in my opinion, kind of fucking sucks?
Is that when you added the lower third overlay?
Yes. Yes, that is when I did that.
Yeah.
The lower third overlay simply states, for those who don't remember, i.e. most of you, it adds a little line in the sand of like, hey, if you worked on the show, I'm not, no shade, no hate.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Nickelodeon executives, not storyboard artists. I hope that's clear. It really should be clear, but you know, if you're working on a show, it's really hard not to take that stuff personally because, you know, I mean, you should be pouring your all into it, and you invariably get emotionally attached to that.
Yeah. It's tough. It's hard to criticize things that, you know, the people working on them might see.
Right.
At the same time, I do think that it is important for you to still be able to state your opinions as a content creator, but it's just like, as your position moves, for lack of a better term, as your visibility changes,
as my villain arc extends,
but it's like it's hard to not want to,
as I become more twisted and fucked up and Joker-fied in nature.
The Joker often thinks about how the Gotham citizens perceive him and how they might feel about the jokes that he makes. I think that's kind of the crux of his character,
more like the
which
wokester.
I understand very well. Yeah, seriously, so true. Fuck, like I really have a lot of strong negative feelings about the Unity game engine and the way that company has been operated. And I got an email from them that was like, oh, do you want a last chance to get your 30% discount on the fucking, no, it wasn't a discount. It was like they're eliminating an entire tier of their subscriptions.
Oh
the mid-tier,
yeah,
like,
this.
You're either using it for nothing or you're paying fucking like thousands. And it's like, I posted a screenshot of that with some snarky ass comment. And then almost immediately.
Well, go on. What did you say?
I'm trying to remember. I would have said it if I remembered. No thanks. I really don't feel like paying for like not malware as a service, but some shit to that effect.
Sure.
Yeah. Almost immediately, I had a Unity engineer in my replies like, I actually think we're taking some steps and the company's going in the right direction. And I was like, fuck, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
How the direction of Unity as a company, good and bad, is a whole other conversation. But it was nuanced enough that I was like, I'm just going to take the tweet down. The snark isn't worth it. Obviously, like my opinion hasn't changed, but it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot rougher on a platform like Twitter, wherever nuance dies whenever you log on.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and fucking pretend that tweet was like a really deep expression of like my full opinions about this.
Nothing of value was lost in the deletion.
Yeah, if it was like a serious, you know, thread breakdown of my feelings, I would have stood by it.
Yeah, of course. And no one would have read it.
So true.
People don't like threads. They like quick quips that are wrong most of the time.
Yeah, I try to fuck. No joke there. Continue.
Okay. All right. Well, you'll be funny one day. I know you got it.
In another 10 minutes, I'm going to come up with a bit that I could have done there, and I'm just going to launch right into it in the middle of your sentence.
You know, I think that's see, I don't have a joke. Fuck.
19 minutes, 33 seconds. We're going to time travel in this conversation.
Why don't we just sit in silence for the next 10 minutes and so we can think of a funny bit to continue this up with?
Right. Just pause here.
Yeah, no, leave it in. Let the viewer ponder along with us.
Actually, no. Fuck you.
Compete with the viewer.
Pause now. Wait 10 minutes. That's too much work for us to wait 10 minutes. You got to do it for us. So pause in 3, 2,
Answer
1.
in the comments whether or not you were funnier than whatever we came up with.
Yeah, from Mad Libs podcast where we sit in silence for an hour and you imagine how a funny conversation with a sponsor break in the middle. That one is you need to be the one.
The only part that isn't a flat wave file is the part wherever we show for fucking Raid Shadow Legends or something.
Holy shit. That's it.
Imagine like episode 200 we pull some shit like that.
We got it.
Yeah. It was that is generally something that I've started to brush up against a lot more frequently now.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons you know you've made it whenever you get people saying I miss the old whoever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
But I've seen a couple of those lately where people are just like I miss the old Noodle when he wasn't afraid to speak his fucking mind.
Mm-hmm.
In reference to me being critical about video game, I guess, which pretty much translates to I miss the version of Noodle that was not informed and felt more comfortable just relentlessly shitting on things he didn't entirely understand.
Yeah. And it's tough because like, again, I do feel like you do have an obligation to your audience to be honest about things, but like the way that you present it and the additional context that you can add, I feel like, I don't know, would you say like that's the biggest thing that's changed? Like you're more measured?
It's certainly the biggest thing I'm trying to change.
Yeah.
Case by case basis as to how successful that is. But I've been told by a number of people that like I got quite a bit of developer cred, and I still I don't see that shit because those aren't circles that I'm personally involved in. But even just hearing that, I don't know, it's a blessing and a curse because it emboldened me. You know, it was nice to hear that people who make video games appreciated what I was trying to accomplish. But on the other hand, it told me that people who make video games were now kind of paying attention to me a little bit. And I don't fuck off. You should be working.
I'll tell them to stop watching your videos next time. That'll be
please. It's too much pressure. I need to be able to talk about how much I fucking hate all of you without knowing that you're going to hear me.
I don't know. So the thing, to walk it back a second, the thing that I really wanted to talk about was like, I think like that ending section overall is probably the most earnest, straight up you've been in a video in a minute.
One of the most ever.
And it seemed like you felt like that was a risk. Yeah, because I remember during the King Kong video, during that section where you were just like, oh, this game is really pretty. Is it cool if I just show that off and say that and like take a minute to breathe that in? It sounded like that was a thing you were worried about. Like earnest was the word that you brought up.
Yes. No, it is. Yeah. Because earnestness and sincerity are not strong suits of mine. I mean, well, earnestness, yeah, you can be tongue in cheek while being earnest. But dropping all of the pretenses and just really saying what you mean without any asterisks and it just being something you really care about and just allowing space to be able to be serious about the way you feel about something is girly gay shit. So like fuck that. Why would I do that?
I love women and gay people.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm trying to be more awesome in my everyday.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean it's an insecurity that I've had forever. So doing it on a public platform is extremely tough. And yeah, no, for the sponsor, I mean, it's retrospectively, it's so nothing, right? I mean, it's like, I mean, there were multiple people who said that they were brought to tears by that shit, which is extremely fucking cool, and a first for anything I've made. But like, I don't know, at the time, it just felt really, really scary, as it always does, to be able to say anything like that wherever, there's no joke to cushion the sincerity of it, or no sideways winking acknowledgement of something that undermines what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I was really excited that you were pushing in that direction, that you've continued with this video, because I think that's always something that I love, when like you have a long period of funnies and joking around, and then when your guard is down and you've developed rapport with the fucking story of the person, you drop the pretense and you don't blink this time, and you just look at the thing. I think that's always really fun, and sometimes makes people very sad. Yeah, which is awesome in my book. I always want to leave people crying for one reason or another. I honestly don't care if it's because they resonated with my work. If they just feel really bad,
I'm out here trying to make people laugh. But the more I work with you, the more I instead end up just making people feel like shit, and that's awesome.
Yeah, that's my secret agenda.
I wonder how interesting it'd be to talk about the car video, considering that isn't out yet. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind talking about it. It's just weird because like people aren't going to have the context that they would have with the SpongeBob video.
I if you want, like, I as the outsider can like lay out what that conversation was like, because I think that was the first time that like we visited this subject.
Yeah, I mean, to give it like an extremely broad, like for context of the context we're about to give, anytime I tell this story to someone in my personal life, it takes like between 2 to 3 hours because so much shit happened. So the version I'm going to tell in like hopefully under 1 minute is unbelievably abridged and missing most of the interesting details. For a video, about 2 years ago now, I entered into a real actual race car race event with a couple friends of mine, and it was one of the most taxing, mentally and physically taxing experiences I've ever partaken in, and it was fucking awesome, and I filmed every second of it, and that will be a video at some point. But the shift that we were able to identify, mostly Sam, that I had felt but hadn't been able to verbally articulate, is that as we transition from the beginning of the story towards the end of it, we go from a very whimsical experience wherever this car that barely works has a lot of shit wrong with it, and that's really funny. And can you believe we're going to turn that into a race car? That morphs into variations of stress and fear and anticipation over the fact that we are in fact going to race this car, and then the absolute stress of actually doing that. It stops being funny, and it never stops being funny, but it stops being exclusively funny and starts being tense, genuinely tense at times, even just revisiting it to tell people that story. And it's going to be so hard to turn that into a video. It's going to be so hard.
Yeah, because I remember like the version of this conversation we had then was like, there were parts of this video that I was like, if you can convince the people involved to leave this in, I would just like play it straight and let it not be funny. Just let it be as stressful and anxiety inducing as it was, which is a scary thing to do because you're taking a risk. Like anytime,
at least one time I was asked by one of the people who I was racing with to just turn the camera off because we couldn't it was too much. We like at one point we thought the video was just not going to happen. We thought the entire thing was up in flames, and I was out like $6,000 or something.
Yeah, it's
which I mean, I nearly went bankrupt making that fucking thing. That video, second time that's happened.
Starting a cool streak.
Yeah,
let's get those numbers up.
I can't articulate without making it into a video how unbelievably tense and stressful that experience was at times for all parties.
Yeah, and it was so cool because that transition mapped pretty neatly over the development of the car. Like the fact, like the transition of this is a funny idea to actually do this thing, happening in parallel with like, oh, it's funny that the car's not working, to like, oh, we have to install some things to protect me from dying, and I have to actually drive this thing that's not working, is like, it's really cool. But like, again, whenever you put something like that out there and you don't couch it in anything, that is a risk, because you are opening yourself up to being criticized for that earnestness.
Yes.
Showing your belly a little bit.
That is quite literally always the single thing that scares me about doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
Like with the SpongeBob video, it was the fear of like, I mean, not so much to people who are like, it's not that deep, bro, because I mean, fuck off. Yes, it is. It's art. But more so the people who just, for whatever reason, didn't agree with the conclusion. I was scared that I was going to receive criticism that swayed me on the conclusion I had come to, because that would make me feel really fucking bad, you know?
And if you had done that as like a big joke, where it's like, oh, fuck, this fucking garbage season, whatever. If you did it in hyperbole, that's almost easier to walk back from than just being yourself there.
Yeah, but just to be really, really raw and honest about how important and like genuinely actually touching the at times the relationship between this goofy kids show and one of the weirdest fucking dumbest bands ever it's I think a lot of people would scoff at that, and so I had to just sort of have faith that if you've reached that point in the video, you're probably just going to be with me on the conclusion. But that's not a given. And it's very easy to dismiss.
The conclusion also not just being like, I don't like SpongeBob after, but like the whole fucking deal of it.
Yeah. This is the entire picture painted of why I genuinely believe it to be really, really
worth telling and paying attention to, and
a worthwhile story to tell with actual value that can be gleaned from it artistically. like, yeah, if there was a significant amount of people who responded with like, that's stupid, that probably would have hurt, actually. That would have really upset me.
No.
And to a much lesser extent, the same would apply to just like showing a bunch of really pretty shots from the King Kong video game, you know? Like if a lot of people were like, it does not look that good, dude, I probably would have looked back at it and be like, fuck, I should not have spent that much time on it.
Yeah. No, it's it's fucking weird, but it's so cool. It's so fucking cool when it lands.
Yeah.
I have several times been watching videos. I'll name one. It was an hour-long video that was just like this guy charting his Minecraft world that he had recorded since he was like, it was like 10 or 11 all the way through college.
Oh my God.
It's like an hour-long video. It's by Mog Swamp, I think. It's
no idea who that is.
I've not engaged with any of the stuff he's made since that video, but it's really cool because like it has this beat in it, and it's at the end of high school when he starts college, and the dates between recordings get bigger and bigger as he's doing other shit, and it was just like a genuinely, it was a really cool way to tell the story of someone who's growing up and becoming an adult and doesn't have that much time for the things that they used to love and care about so much as a kid, and then afterward coming back to it with like a new perspective on it. It was really cool, but it pulled its punch a little bit. I think it pulled its punch in the conclusion a little bit. I think it tried to wrap things up way too neatly at the end of the video, and I left feeling kind of disappointed because I really wanted it to drive really hard into that theme that it found. Because I'm an asshole.
Do you remember years ago, one of the first interactions we ever had, back when I was a dickhead to you without realizing, I sent you that tribute to Minecraft J Schlatt video.
Oh yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that Schlatt himself kind of fucking hates that video now, which makes sense considering it's quite old and he's a different person now. But I still think it's really good, exactly for the same reason, because, you know, it starts off super jokey and casual, and, you know, it pulls you in with the inherent nostalgia of Minecraft and your experience with it as a kid, but it transitions from that into him revisiting his original world on his 360 that he played as a kid, hearing the music come in and talking about how it actually just made him fucking cry. And it works really well. Fuck, it works good.
From what I remember at the end of the video, like it doesn't try to wrap things up really neatly with like this is a video about fucking awesome shit, whatever. It doesn't pull back out of it. That's like the note that it ends on. I remember thinking that was really fucking cool. It is when you're talking about like being a dickhead to me, are you talking about the fucking Clippy video, the thing you said, like? I'm gonna be real, that was like some of the best feedback I'd ever gotten about a thing.
Are you serious? Because it sucked. It was bad feedback.
I think there were specific things. When I say it's the best feedback I ever got, I think that it was like, I'd be curious what you didn't like about it.
Well, first. All I remember is the takeaway. Is I'm sure I had nitpicks that were pretty good. But my overarching takeaway was entirely fueled by my own insecurity about being sincere online.
Interesting.
And so, like, the takeaway that I gave was essentially some form of like, I think you're going too hard on the sincerity angle.
Yeah.
Like I think you're leaning way too hard into the part wherever you break down the jokes and just be real with people, because it's not landing. Whenever you gave a little bit of pushback into, I don't know if I want to get rid of it or like tone it down that much, my second reply was like, yeah, I don't really know how to do that good. Here's a fucking video that does it good. Do that, I guess. Like, yeah, great, dude. Fucking brilliant insight.
Yeah. I remember like you didn't vibe with that part of the video. That feedback, I actually forgot that conclusion until now. The part that I do remember was a lot of the stuff where like there was one joke that you thought could have been made better, and you cut out that part of the video and you re-edited it to show how you would have told it.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, that was like really big. It was like a transition segment or something. I ended up recutting the video to match that and then going through the rest of the video to try and like punch it up, because the stuff that the stuff that I'm still really proud of that video is the narrative structure of it, which I can speed run through because it's through this. But like the stuff that I think doesn't totally hold up about that video,
it's upsetting how ahead of its time that video was looking back.
I'm really happy with it, because like narrativizing this type of I'll say the rest of my sentence first. But like, yeah, the stuff that I think that doesn't hold up totally about that video, although maybe this is my own perception of it, is like, I didn't know what my voice was yet, especially comedically. I was just not practiced at that. I mean, I didn't fully understand like the language of YouTube videos side of things, like how you can tell jokes with editing and stuff.
And also, to be clear, I was also not as good as I am now at it either, which informed the feedback. Like,
hey, listener, breaking news: things change with time.
Yeah, people gain new skills with experience.
Bet you haven't heard that one before.
My biggest problem with what I said to you back then was just that, like, it was entirely informed by, like, in terms of the sincerity angle, it was entirely just informed by my own insecurities. When what I should have told you was fucking go for it, even if it's not 100%, because you need to keep doing this and you'll get good at it.
Yeah.
Like, I was discouraging you from committing to something that you hadn't had enough experience with to get good at yet. And I was afraid of even trying, and I told you, and I tried to discourage you from trying because of that. And that was really shitty of me.
I deleted that from my memory. I guess I just didn't care.
Well, I mean, it's because I couched it very, I didn't go very hard on that advice, because I knew on some level that I was being informed by insecurity. But I'm still just kind of disappointed at previous me for allowing that to inform my feedback at all, because what you needed was encouragement, and I was giving the opposite of that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, shit. I wish I had more to add to that note. I
mean, I can go on. You've gotten a lot better. That's really the takeaway.
I appreciate it.
It's a skill you have since built, because lo and behold, looking back, I mean, honestly, the thing that taught me that was partially just seeing that, oh yeah, he really didn't know what he was doing back then. Like, yeah, no, you're better at doing this now. No shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to see that happen to fully internalize it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, like the Connect video, another one that I think doesn't fully hold up in execution, but I think like
the Clippy video is better than the Connect video.
Huh?
The Clippy video is better comedically than the Connect video.
Really?
Again, sorry, if I can just rip apart your work again. The trouble is that with the Clippy video, which, very brief overview for people listening, because
I'll run through it.
Yeah.
So way back, right around like early COVID times, I had gotten access to GPT-3 before AI chatbot shit was like a public thing. It was literally, I had some guy that gave me the password to his account. It was a huge novelty.
You made that into a bit in the video, was like the fact that you applied for access to it because like GPT was so cagey about giving people access back then.
Yeah.
And they told you no.
Yeah.
and so you just did it anyway.
Yeah. I had some guy that gave me the password to his account. I ended up using that. And what I had built was a fucking chatbot Clippy powered by AI. I'll bring him back from the dead. That was, funny bit. I didn't fully know what to do with it at the time. This is real life.
To fully illustrate, it was you told ChatGPT to roleplay as Clippy with the added context that it knows that it died and came back.
Yes. And I didn't know why I found that funny at the time. I was in the cool zone.
This was before AI was like a controversial topic. It was purely spectacle back then, but it was before the bubble had really fully ballooned. So like generally you as a person and everyone in that video was very naive about what this technology was going to become back then, which gives it a very interesting retrospective feel.
I did play that up. Let me finish telling this story.
Wait, really?
Yeah, let me finish telling the goddamn story. Yeah, so at the time, I didn't really know why I found that funny of like making a Clippy AI that knows it's going to die. And I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, I don't know, maybe I can release it, but they wouldn't let me release it for, obvious at the time reasons.
Yeah.
They've changed their stance now. But yeah, it ended up being we're like, well, I was going to lose access to the server.
Why would they change their perspective on this? Why would they let more people use their software? I don't get it.
I don't know. Well, maybe someday we'll learn. Yeah, so it got to the point where like, well, I was gonna lose access because they were shutting down the the whatever, like it was gonna become a paid service and I was gonna lose access. So I just did a live stream with Route, who I'd only talked to at that point once. A friend of ours. I'd only talked to him once because I wanted him to do music for a project. But yeah, so I dragged him onto a live stream. I was like, hey, I'm going to do a live stream talking with this Clippy AI. You want to come in? And he said, yeah. And I just like fucking shot the shit with it. He dragged in now Twitter user Cole Bones. And that was the first time that I'd ever met Eli.
Wow.
That was how we met, was on that live stream. It is recorded.
This is someone who you talk to like every other day now.
Yeah, really fucking wonderful person. But yeah, so we did the live stream, shut it down. On the final night before I lost access, I was like, well, I'm going to grab some pickup footage for this thing. And the direction that conversation took, a conversation about burnout, and it just like kept glitching out, and I kept restarting it and just grilling it about this one topic, and I couldn't figure out why. And it was just like, fuck, like, I don't know, dude. I was feeling really bad mentally at that point. And I was like, I don't know, like I used to wake up fucking every day with this sense of purpose. Like I knew what I was doing, and here I am. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just grilling this AI about this thing over and over. And I was like, oh fuck, okay. So I'm Clippy. That's the thing. Is like I knew what I was doing at some point. I felt like that, and now I don't anymore, and that's really weird. And I'm like, bringing back Clippy weirdly reflected this thing about me, because Clippy as a personal assistant was made for purpose and in a certain time in a certain world, and he was locked in. People hated him, but whatever. That's like part of the joke. But now if you were to bring him back today, knowing his own fate, yeah, it's like he would feel aimless.
I like how even now you cannot help but personify this stupid fucking digital assistant.
Yeah, and the thing is like the way that GPT works, and this is why is the way that GPT works is it's just, again, we all know this now, it's crazy autocomplete. So it wasn't really resembling what Clippy would have said or done. It was the context of Clippy reflecting back the stuff that I was putting into it. And that I felt like, okay, there's like a story here, and I don't fully know what it is, but it is this form. And I'm still really, really proud of the narrative structure of that video.
Yeah.
Where it opens with me being super flippant and be like, yeah, fuck it. You know, the world's ending, but this is going to be funny. Let's do it. And progressing that through, going to the live stream, where like, the hero sandwich moment is a part of the live stream where me, Route, and Eli, who've like never talked to each other before, decide to start doing like D&D with Clippy. And it's the first iteration of Clippy that wasn't like insane or stupid on the live stream. And it was like actually responding in ways that were funny. And it was like, this was me in real time during a super alienated, lonely time in my life, during like lockdowns, making friends with these people for the first time, as Clippy was having that same experience, if you were going to personify it. And the way that those story arcs met each other was really neat. And then the ending happens, which is like, I was able to grab, I also factored in some really bad shit that happened, like with the wildfires in Oregon. I cut some stuff out of that part. There's a part of the video that cuts to black. That's because there was more to that sequence that I ended up just hard cutting out because it got a little too personal. But yeah, this was like, there was someone on Twitter who had tuned into the live stream who posted a thread about how disquieted they felt about that experience of watching the live stream, of like watching us create and then kill this AI over and over. It felt like we were talking to a person. We knew we weren't, but to the viewer, it was a conversation. And this was, again, very, very novel at that time.
Right, yeah. Again, it's so naive looking back.
Yeah, and that was where I went back to. It was really frustrating to me at the time that no one was really representing how GPT worked. So early in the video, I set it up where I describe it as this autocomplete, yada, yada, yada. And then later on, now in this part, I go back to it where it's like, this is the reason that that's meaningful is because Clippy is just reflecting back what I'm putting into it. I feel like I'm talking to this other thing, but I'm now staring my own fucking problems in the face. And then I go to that conversation about burnout that I had with it that I recorded, where he said it generated some real resonant shit. The ending of that video I was really conflicted on because I had no idea how to conclude or wrap up or walk back from this mess, because this entire section doesn't have jokes in it.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing.
And that's why I responded so negatively to it.
Yeah. But yeah, so like the ending, I was like, well, now that my access to the server is dead, I guess like I need to give him his final resting place. I'm going to bury Clippy.
Throw a laptop into a river and then turn off the camera and go fish it back out because you don't want to create e-waste.
Yeah. The ending is like me in the stupid ass glitter jacket, trespassing on private land. I didn't know that part. A laptop. Yeah. To go throw a laptop into the river. And that laptop is like the Clippy laptop. And I'm talking during this. The very ending, I had in my mind, there were two possible endings to this video. It was one, I needed to wrap up this story about me losing my purpose, a sense of purpose in some way. And my feelings about this were not resolved at that time. So in my head, the two possible conclusions were either one, my purpose is to make stuff and I finally figured this out and I know what I'm doing now. And that felt weird and hollow. Or the conclusion was, I think my purpose is like, I want to help people and be like Clippy. And that also felt weird and hollow.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I had no idea which one to go with. So I was like, well, for the ending, I'm just going to like turn on the mic and I'm going to talk over the ending of this sequence and just see what happens, which one of the two I go with. And what came out of my mouth was a third option, was I don't know. And I'm okay with it. I'm like actually okay with not knowing what I'm doing necessarily. And that was the first time that I had ever said that to myself.
Oh, wow.
Meant it. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And so I turned the mic off and felt real sad for a bit, but I used that. That's the fucking take in the video, because there's no way I was going to retake myself figuring that out. And that ended up syncing up with the, throwing the laptop in the river. That's
fucking crazy. I had no idea.
Making that video was a really wild experience.
If I can just undercut all of that, it's a shame that the execution still leaves much to be desired. By virtue of the fact that it is your first ever YouTube video, and to this date, one of two that have ever been made.
I'll add a little bit to that though, is that like in a way, even if that makes it a worse video, me looking back on it now, that makes it a pretty good time capsule of where I was at the time.
As like a personal thing, there's some crazy value there.
Absolutely.
But as the consumer, it pisses me off that I can't have the gooder version of the YouTube video that I'll forget in a year.
Well, what's interesting is like I ended up sending that to a couple of friends around the time that I put it in the Discord server that we were in. I was really hesitant to release it.
I remember that.
I didn't fully know why.
It took you I looked at it and I think it was more than half a year before it actually went live after that, with very little changes that I recognized.
Yeah, it's very, very minor changes. In part because I had lost all the project files after making a draft. And so it was really hard for me to actually go back and improve the video, because all I had was like a draft that I had uploaded to YouTube to check for copyright claims, which was really cool and normal. So that really is like a calcified version of it that even as I got better after that, I couldn't really improve that much. But like that's all besides the point. The point is like, there's a friend I talked to about this where the reason I was hesitant about releasing the video wasn't because I didn't think it was good. It was because it felt like a lot to put out there of myself during a time where, again, that ending was live. I had not fully processed everything that was in that video. I thought I did, and it turns out I didn't. And the what the friend said to me was like, it can be done without being released. If you got everything you needed to get out of making it, there's no much that it actually has to be public.
Is this Nelson? Because this sounds like
Nelson.
Yeah, I could tell.
I should just name him.
Nelson, this is just some shit Nelson would say.
Yeah. And I was like, oh,
that's crazy how I could just tell based on the advice. Wow.
Yeah. he's one of those people. I shouldn't say that. That sounds awful. Cut that out.
What do you mean? What do you mean? One of the you have to be in such a bad headspace in order to interpret that in any negative capacity. Are you fucking kidding me?
We're gonna keep talking. Listen,
he's one of those people.
Listen,
parentheses.
Stop.
Those people. All caps. Viewer, what do you think he meant by that?
I think Nelson's cool and awesome.
Me too.
And anyway,
please keep all of that in.
Anyway, so I sat on it for 6 months, and then I revisited it from a much more distant place. And I was like, you know what? It's good. And that's when I cut out the part that it cuts the black on. I tightened up some other things, and then I released it. And weirdly, even though to the trained eye, and also to many untrained eyes, like you can tell where it's a little slow or awkward, or I'm like putting on a voice that doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah.
The jokes that I'm telling aren't quite landing. There were a number of people who really got hit by that story. And that felt very weird to me, because despite putting so much of myself into that thing, especially as like a first effort, I don't know. It's very weird to hear people say that like they cried over a thing that you made.
As of very recently, I can relate.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Here's to bring it back to what started this whole diatribe. I think the Connect video is smoother, is how I would put it.
The Connect video, for context, everyone, is the second of 2 videos that Sam has made, and one that largely...
It sucked. It's awful. It's deleted.
Is it?
It's not deleted.
Oh, okay.
I was getting really into it.
Okay, well, I mean, it should be
deleted.
But okay. All right. It's one wherever the narrative had to be found largely after filming.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because that's not usually how we do things.
Yeah, there's always an extent, especially when you're doing something like a project video and you're really trying to like make it meaningful, that like you have an idea of what it is going into it. For the Clippy one, that was one where like the narrative kind of fell into place. You kind of don't know what's going to happen when you're doing that. So I was trying to, for the Connect video, set myself up with like, I'm entering this space of making this thing, and I want to go in with an idea of what that means to me in advance. And I came up with that, and it felt pretty good. It was like, the idea was like, I wanted the Connect to be this representation of this like way more optimistic time in like when we thought that, fucking whatever 3D scanning technology, all this shit, was going to bring people together in the living room rather than be like taken over by Facebook Meta and turned into a clinical hellscape to an extent, at least on the developer side. And I wanted that to mirror like my loss of my childhood optimism as much.
Okay.
Where I was just like, I used to think shit was awesome and then now I don't. But I wouldn't say that, because you can't ever actually say the thing the video is about. But I wanted that to be.
I'm proud I taught you that one.
Yeah. I did a little bit before, but yeah, it's yeah. So that was my idea.
The joke is that is exclusively what I do and what Sam avoids. But Sam
true.
Also helps me do.
I smile. But yeah, like the idea was that I was going to enter into making this thing, that I was going to bring the Kinect, and I was going to make it work on the new Xbox that dropped Kinect support. And I was going to make it work as like this, I'm trying to force the past into a place it doesn't belong thing. And the idea was that was going to fail miserably because it's fucking stupid.
I'm sorry, was this before or after you helped add Kinect support to Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator?
Before / concurrent with / after. It was kind of all that. It was the same period.
Okay.
That did interfere with the story a little bit, and I tried to dance around it. Because that was the second way. No, it was during / after. Sorry, not before. I've been doing this since before. My interest in the Kinect was due to the idea of this being a funny story to do, and then I added it into a game I was working on without being asked to. I added Kinect support to Space Organ Trading Simulator.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which is like another way of like trying to bring it back. That ended up shipping, which is really cool.
That's the best. I think that's the funniest part out of any of this. Is that
listen, the team was super supportive of that, and that did kind of interfere with the story of like, well, now there's this other thing coming out that has Kinect support that's bringing it back, but I just kind of ignored it. But like, yeah, here's the thing: I was going to that product.
That's honestly a shame because it would have tied into the narrative pretty well and turned it into something tangible. Well, you should have phoned me in, dumbass.
Yeah, but like the problem with the narrative that I was pitching was that like I expected bringing the Kinect to the new Xbox to fail miserably. And that was going to be the moment of like where I had to reconcile and like meet reality that like this isn't going to work. And then everything that I did worked. No matter how stupid I tried to make it, it worked. I was like, oh, I'm going to get Kinect running on the new Xbox by like running it is streaming the data over a server that's in like a whole fucking other country across the globe. That fucking worked flawlessly, almost lower latency than a controller. I think maybe they like shifted me to a server that was in America, but still, it's fucking stupid. It should not have worked. But it did. And so I kept having to like escalate the bit, hoping that it would end somewhere. Like, well, fuck it. I'm going to like make a store ID and like make it so I can put this stuff on the Microsoft Store. That also, I was able to do that. All this shit. I didn't end up putting it on the Microsoft Store. But yeah, it's like that. The bit escalated to the point where I was like, okay, well, last ditch thing is, you know, the E3, rest in peace, was kind of like the symbol of all that gaming was from like 2000 to late 2010s. That was like the place. I grew up fucking watching E3s and like being really excited about them whenever they happened and all the cool, funny announcements. And so I was like, well, now we're in the year, it was the year that E3 was called off but not canceled yet. It's like, I'm going to go down to the Los Angeles Convention Center and it'll be like a pilgrimage, like me making like pilgrimage to this place. And then I'll see that it's like, man, it's like not like what it was in person. And that'll be kind of that'll be like a moment of sobriety of like, oh shit. Then the person that I was filming with, my friend Danielle, we had to keep delaying because of life stuff, and it ended up pushing the filming until like the night before the Super Bowl as they were setting up for the Super Bowl festivities. And I was like, fuck, there's no way that we'll be let anywhere near this goddamn building. But fuck it, we have to try anyway, right? Like the minute we get there, I lost my phone. I left it on the metro. I was like, all right, whatever. We're doing it. We show up and start recording, and I notice that there is a door open. And I'm like, this is great. I'm going to get kicked out by security if I walk up to this door. That's going to be the moment I can play it up, right? Like I'm being like, oh, I got to get in because it's the fucking E3 building. And they'll be like, no, and I won't be a dick about it because being a dick is bad. But like, we'll have that moment of me getting pushed out. And that did not happen. We just walked in while they were setting up. We were for several hours. We were walking and recording. By the way, I'm wearing like a ridiculous shiny green blazer. I'm not like wearing, I'm like construction gear or whatever the fuck. It is a ridiculous outfit that I have on. But yeah, it ended up being a thing where we had to try and make it look like I wasn't supposed to be. We tried to like film it like we were hiding, but it didn't quite work. It's so fucking stupid. So I had to escalate that bit too.
What's weird about all of this is that it doesn't fully translate.
Yeah.
The video struggles to convey the fact that you didn't expect any of this to work, and especially the way it crescendos. It feels, I mean, if there's one complaint I had, it's that the whole video was building towards that final moment, but then the final moment comes, and I really thought you just walked into a parking lot. Like, I didn't think there was anything else to it. Like, maybe you weren't supposed to be there. I don't know. Like, I failed to see any of the significance of that, you know?
I somewhat disagree. So the problem is that this is not the story of the video. This is the story of me trying to make the video.
I suppose, what maybe what I'm trying to articulate is that for me, the story of making the video is linked to the story of the video, and not having that be incorporated feels like a loss in a way. Like, yeah, it felt like
finish telling the story because I'm getting.
I will die, and it will be your fault, and I will cast Mind Explode upon you.
Let this be the evidence of that. When this is called for in court for my murdering charges.
When you place murdering charges on me, having head explode.
It's kind of a two-way street. But yeah, we got in, and then at the very end, like I was like, fuck it, we're going to the loading dock, and this guy pointed us towards the parking lot, which ended up being a parking lot inside the building, and we walked around there, and then we left. And I was like, I have no idea what to do with this goddamn footage. The ending of that video that I had initially considered, after having to figure out a way to reframing that I landed on while I was editing it, was trying to frame it as like me escalating every time with a Discord call with Route and Eli that was kind of constantly running, where I would pop in and I would be like, doing some crazier shit, and then I would leave, and it would be a very one-sided conversation. That was actually one of the last things I found into place for the video. The original ending idea was that I was going to release this for the world. I was going to publish the Kinect app, whatever, on the Microsoft Store. You would be able to load it on your Xbox One, yada, yada, yada. All that fun stuff happened. That's the natural ending of the story. Is I do this thing and it's awesome. And I didn't want to do that because I felt like I had to earn walking into the LA Convention Center narratively. I didn't want to do that in a self-aggrandizing way. I really like trying to use the language and tools of the stories that are on fucking YouTube videos in a weird way. And I felt like if I was just doing I snuck to the Los Angeles Convention Center and it was awesome, that I would be losing something. So the ending that I landed on was trying to undercut all of that by having a final call where I'm like, I'm in the fucking parking lot and it's awesome. And I've stuck in and I'm going to do this final presentation. I'm going to give my own E3 presentation, whatever the fuck, which has no bearing on reality and is purely to satisfy my in character, urges to bring back the past. And they basically say that we are concerned about you, and it deflates the whole thing. And that's the note that I end on. And I still think that's kind of neat. The problem is that I lose the thread of the Kinect as the project at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, it's a matter. Execution was a big concern. I think it's a matter of just the project got so far away from what you had initially set it out to be that it becomes difficult to follow at a point. As a viewer, I begin to lose sight of where we're headed or why we're going there, or what I'm seeing, what parts of it are reality versus fiction, and where the stakes are in any of it. It's really tough, right? Because projects like this always run the risk of ending up there.
It was something where I spent 2 or 3 months editing that video. It was probably the most I've ever learned on a project. And by the end of it, I saw what I could have done differently. And I was like, it is what it is. I think that a better version of this video would end. I don't actually know how it fully end, but I think that I would have had to keep escalating it by doing the original thing of unleashing this into the real world. And then doing the original plan was I wanted to involve the press's reaction to it, because this was bait. Bringing the Kinect to the new thing, and that ending very specifically undercut anyone's ability to even write about this video as guy does cool Kinect thing, crazy YouTube video, watch now. That would not have that can't happen with the place that it ends with my character.
I disagree entirely, but go on.
I don't know, dude. It is that ending.
I think that I think that would be a fantastic bait and switch.
Yeah, but that would be a good bait and switch, but it's article as a joke. The video doesn't sludgeify well, which was on purpose. But yeah, it's it would have been fun to release it and then have it just see where it went.
The way to do it.
The train.
The way to do it would have been to release release an actual finished build, even if it sucks. Just the novelty of a new video game that requires the Kinect would have been the thing that people would have written articles about, and then the video would have been the twist.
We on the same page. We
and I'm saying that would have fucking worked. It would have been good.
Yeah, the counter to that is I was very tired.
Yeah.
It would have been. I'm hoping to do stuff like that in the future, because I do think that for whatever fucking reason, semi-regularly projects that I do will get enough internet likes that someone writes an article summarizing it or offering an opinion on it, which is very wonderful and appreciated, because it means that I can explain what I do to my dad. But playing with that dynamic would be fun. You know what? Maybe I could have had the same arc of the video. Fuck! This would have been it. That's the point where it escalates, where it breaks out into the public, and then maybe I release the fucking deranged me in the inside parking lot video that doesn't line up with any of the reality. I released an in-character video of me doing the E3 presentation after it's already been here's the funny, crazy thing I did.
Right.
And I'm just like, why do I feel so empty? Because that would have been the true end of the road. Not breaking into E3's convention center, whatever, but having released it, using the post-release part of the project as the depressive period. Fuck, that would have been it.
That would have been really good.
Tired to do it by that point. But yeah, that would have been a way more satisfying conclusion of all of that, because that maps much more cleanly onto where my character's emotional state would have been.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, this is why
See, this is why
this ruse of a friendship is so
is because what we just witnessed here in real time is exactly why Sam and I continue to write together, is because moments like that happen once in a blue moon.
Oh man.
Remember when we thought this was going to be about SpongeBob?
Remember we talked about SpongeBob? Yeah, I don't know. I'm so sorry if I went on way too much of a tangent.
No, I think it was good. It just wasn't about me, so we're not airing it.
We're not including it, of course. Yeah, I don't know, but honestly, I'm kind of glad that I haven't made the next videos that I'm excited about yet, because completely earnestly over the last year or whatever of helping you write stuff, it has very much changed the way that I approach telling jokes and being funny in videos. I did not have...
That's interesting.
I did not have a big... I'm using weird metaphors, but I did not have a huge vocabulary of the type of jokes and pacing that you could get away with in a YouTube video. Those previous videos that I made, they have parts where they drag because I wasn't brave enough to do abrupt change. Oh, the one piece of feedback that you gave me on the Clippy video that was core to the way I approached the Connect video was that the Clippy video was always scored by music. It was all music. Music was the first thing that came whenever I started cutting something, because I wasn't brave enough to
let things breathe
of a scene by myself. Yeah, exactly. I didn't trust myself so using the music was like a cheat, because I could just follow the pacing and arc of the music and I would get the emotion I was looking for. Doing that without the music was scary as fuck, but forcing myself to do that was cool. And then again, over the last fucking year of being able to write with you, I've only stolen more of your brain power.
Well, I'm glad, because I was worried this was a very one-sided interaction at first.
Hell no. It's been goddamn wonderful and very fun.
Well, I have been. I've said it before.
Forced me to hunger strike, but that's weird.
Oh, I thought you were going to mention all the slurs. No, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I really the biggest piece of advice that would piss anyone else off, but I think you really do and just need to follow, is you need to keep fucking making videos, because if you're gonna get really good if you make another one.
Yeah.
You've made two.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Fuck. It's tough because, and this is in part just, I think, me failing, but the next video that I wanted to make, I would have needed other people to help me film, and I just I need to figure that shit out. It's very...
Yeah, I don't know what that's like.
It's tough. It's tough to fucking...
Did I mention that I filmed the entirety of the car video, the entire 6-month journey entirely by myself, which included hot swapping between 3 GoPros, 2 cameras, and everyone's phone footage for 3 days straight while also doing the race?
Yeah. It's tough because that does affect how you can tell the story and what parts you can show versus tell.
God,
it's
and
when that it's limiting. But I honestly, I should just figure out when the next idea comes that's so stupid, I feel like I can follow it to a meaningful place.
You've already got the notepad thing.
I don't know if that's gonna be. I think I'm gonna use the fucking I'm gonna try and tell a story with that. I don't know if I'm gonna find anything real meaningful that I care about at the bottom of that well.
Who cares? Make videos. That's not every single thing you make has to be you pouring your fucking heart out.
I thought we were just talking about that type of video.
No, I'm talking about videos.
Yeah, I will. I'm excited. I'm excited about that one. For listeners, I'm doing a funny bit where I have hacked Notepad to let me make games that run in it. And
no, you haven't.
I did this.
He's lying about.
So what
he's lying.
Julian's engaging a little bit of role play and a little bit of role play, because I actually did this initially over a year ago, and I just had Doom running in it. And for whatever fucking reason, over the last few months, that video got picked up by the algorithm. And I got more than anything else I've done, a real wave of hate of people being like, fuck this guy, get a life, move out of your mom's house. This is fake. I don't know. I'm really excited because it is the most vitriol I've gotten over the lowest stakes possible shit.
It's kind of like a free pass to just be the biggest dickhead in the world with no real consequence.
Yeah, so I get to make like a hate response video without any of the constraints that normally come with like a responding to the haters type video.
It's like a dream scenario for me, honestly.
It's so good. So obviously this will be a consultation that will happen because after I've live streaming development with this for a while, I will have enough raw material to construct my counter argument, where I will do some stupid shit like repeatedly insist that there's nothing weird going on. My notepad just does this. Your computers are broken.
Works on my machine.
Yeah, I don't know. Get better. Fucking at using notepad.
I didn't even program this. My notepad just came with this.
I just woke up. Yeah, I have better.
I really like as the idea of as the video goes on, you like the narrative continually shifts. It becomes a dumber version of the explanation. Like you start out loosely explaining what you did, and by the end you're just saying that like your notepad just runs Doom. I don't know. It came with it. Your Windows 11 doesn't ship with Doom.
That's good. That is, that's a fun bit. It's been noted. I'm gonna steal it from you. Let's steal it.
Noted. That's good. That's good. Write that down.
Notepadded. There it is.
Oh my God.
Thanks for joining the podcast, everyone. We just made our one funniest joke ever. I am retiring from the internet effective immediately.
I was here. This is what positive encouragement does, people. You saw it here first.
Guys,
I literally willed him into being funny.
Guys, me, funnier than George Carlin or funniester than George Carlin? Let's dig up his corpse and see.
Who tells it more like it?